everyone. Today we're going to be talking about our Science Explore demo. It is geared towards third grade. I'm Melissa Burke and my partner is Chrissy Meyer. The standard we had was geared towards third grade, and it is an analyze and interpret data to provide evidence that plants and animals have traits inherited from parents and that variation of these traits exists in a group of similar organisms. And our objective is, by the end of this lesson, students will create a drawing of a puppy using AutoDraw and use the traits of its parents as evidence to describe its appearance. And our driving question is, how can we predict what a puppy will look like by studying the traits of its parents? For the engage, we would have students think about what we were learning, which was traits, and get into a think, pair, share with a table partner to talk about different traits that they learned. And then we would pose a scenario, which is Miss Meyer has a dog and took her to the vet because she was not feeling well. She was shocked when the vet told her that her dog was pregnant. When Miss Meyer came home, Miss Burke, her neighbor, told her that her own dog escaped into Miss Meyer's backyard and thinks her dog is the father of the puppies that will soon be born. If this is the case, we want to know what one of the puppies might look like. Then furthermore, we would also have asked students to help her figure out the situation. And we would pose the driving question, how can we predict what a puppy will look like by studying the traits of its parents? They would get into a table group of 4 to do a round robin activity where they would discuss the driving question and their thoughts. Then for the explore area, the teacher would show the images of their dogs for students to see. So the mom dog is Miss Meyer's dog, and the dad dog is Miss Burke's dog.
Okay, so then the teachers would explain that students will complete their activity on the Puppy Creations Google Slides. Since this is a virtual learning lesson, the slides would be a way for the teacher and students to organize their work and also see what their peers have done. So the teacher would also explain that students will organize their trait observations on a graphic organizer. So basically, the teacher would say something like, okay, boys and girls, so you've seen what the mom dog looks like and what the possible dad dog looks like. And what we're going to do is first, you're going to fill out in the graphic organizer all of the mom's traits. So, what the ears look like, what the nose looks like, the eyes, the tail, the paws, the color, the hair, and the size. And you're going to do the same thing for the dad dog. And then what you're going to do is you're going to have to put on your thinking caps and really think about, if the mom looks like this and the dad looks like this, what might the puppy look like using your knowledge of traits? And then they would fill out the puppy column of all the traits that the puppy might have. And then students will use AutoDraw to create their puppy based on the traits from the graphic organizer. So quickly, I'm going to show what the AutoDraw function is. So this is what it looks like. What I would have students do is try to have them practice drawing, showing all of the traits and maybe even labeling the traits just to show it. And then they would be able to download, just clicking here and clicking download to download their picture, and then they will upload it right here on the slide. And then I'll show the slide a little later, but for the explain, elaborate, and evaluate portion, so even though this wasn't really necessary, we still wanted to explain all the 5 E's in case anyone was actually interested in teaching this lesson or just really wanted to find out how we would end the lesson. So during explain, students will review how puppies have inherited traits from their parents, but each puppy might look different from one another, even if they have the same traits. So basically, the teacher would say something like, so even though they have the same parents, there's a mom and a dad, Some of the puppies in the litter might look similar to one another, some of them might look totally different, and that's all about how they inherit traits. Then students will be placed into small groups of four, and they're going to share and explain their puppy and its appearance. And students in their group will give each presenter feedback using two glows and a grow. So the teachers would give them sentence stems. So maybe for the two glows, they have to say something like, I really like blank, or I think the best thing about your puppy is blank. And then maybe a grow sentence stem might be something like, next time, maybe you can blank, just so that then students don't feel as intimidated or nervous to share their work and just to provide an overall positive learning community. And then during the elaborate portion of the lesson, in the same groups, the teacher will ask students the following question. If your group was to predict another puppy from the same litter, would it look similar or different to your group's predictions? Why or why not? So this is really getting students to think of, okay, so in your group of maybe 4 or 5, you have 4 or 5 different ideas of what different puppies might look like. Well, what if there is a fifth or sixth one? Would it look similar to what you've already done? Would it look different? Why? Really getting them to use that critical thinking and thinking outside the box, using their understanding of traits. And then students would think about that using a round robin format, which each student gives an idea and they keep doing it for a certain amount of time. And then lastly, during the evaluate portion of the lesson, students would present their puppy creations to the front of the class and explain how they use data, which was their traits graphic organizer, to determine what one of the puppies would look like. And then the teacher would assess using a Google Forms rubric. So this also really allows the students to kind of see at how, let's say there's 30 students in a class, seeing how even though they have the same mom and dad, the puppies might look totally different. They might look similar, and it's showing that whole idea of that cross-cutting concept of patterns. So I was going to quickly go back and show you what the puppy creations slides look like. So here are the slides. It says puppy creations, what will a puppy look like? And it has the picture of the photos of the mom and dad dog, and this is just where students would fill in their graphic organizer. They have the link to auto draw, and this is where they place their image. And then lastly, we wanted to include a materials and resources list. So this is basically everything that you need to teach this lesson, either virtually or even in person. So we have a link to a Google Docs that will also be in the blog portion of submitting this project. And we have the links to this presentation, to the puppy creations presentation, to the traits graphic organizer, to the dog photos, to the auto draw website. And here's also just a sample puppy creations rubric we created on Google Forms, just to see kind of what might a teacher look for when assessing students' projects. And this is the end of our science demo. We hope that you learned more about this third grade life science standard, and that if you ever want to teach this lesson, you have everything that you would need. Thank you.
Thank you.